I was, what you might say, a beneficiary of the Oklahoma oil boom and a casualty of the bust.
Okay.
So everything dried up for me in Oklahoma City. And I mean, I couldn't support my family. So I went bankrupt at that time.
So sorry.
No, it's okay. I went bankrupt and I was looking for a job. I wasn't employable any place but in Washington, D.C. I found a job with a real estate case law firm. And went to Washington, D.C., practiced there for 3 or 4 years, 4 years. Came back to Oklahoma City, tried to reopen my a solo practice, couldn't do it. And that's when the good Lord intervened again. I had a good friend out in El Paso who said, hey, come on out here and join my firm as of counsel. Well, by the time I was in Washington, D.C., I translated my experiences in Oklahoma City during the boom and bust times to a novel manuscript that was called Sunbelt, a novel. That was 33 years ago. And it was published, I just through luck, no luck, it was the good Lord's will that I published it. I met a East Coast, mainly school book publisher that took a look at it and decided that it was publishable. So they did, and it was, and Sunbelt, a novel, was published 33 years ago. That was my first publication. And it did real well on a regional basis, and I mean, it was a source of my livelihood for me and my family.
Wow. And
then I go out to El Paso to practice law, and I literally fell in love with the town. It was, I mean, the people are great, good Christians, hardworking, nice people, good people. And I practiced out there for 15 years. And all the time I was writing The Layers of Evil, which, you know, I came back here to Tulsa in 2007. And just at that time, there was Thriller Fest, was a writers' conference in New York City. And I thought, well, that's what I want to do. So I went there and had a draft of Layers for Evil, which I tried to submit and got three rejections. So I know it hurt. But then, as I said here, you know, the good Lord put Joan in my life, and that straightened it. She's very practical. I'm the dreamer in our relationship. She's the very practical. And her, I'll tell you a little story about that. We were working on layers. I mean, on splitting the two novels. Okay. And she was reading it and editing and trying, and she went. And my first chapter was 27 pages. Okay. And so she went to work and agonized all day over how she was going to break it to me. Well, she comes home and she says, you know, you got to change your first chapter. It's got too much, as she called it, blah, 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 blah. You know, she said, you got to take off your attorney hat and put a writer hat on. And I said, well, what do you suggest? And she whips out this little piece of paper that had one paragraph on it. And that paragraph, I turned that 27-page first chapter into a 3-page chapter, and it just made the book.
Oh my gosh.
It just made it.
Interesting.
So it was, anyway, that's my writing story. I'm
Great.
now working on the prequel to both of these novels, and it's called Before the Sunrise.
Before
And
the
it's really a rewrite of Layers of Evil.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh, that's great.
Anyway,
Oh.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I guess so.
Now, did you have knowledge? You had knowledge of, I mean, before you came to Christ, you had knowledge of him.
Oh, I
So,
did. I did,
yeah.
but I was a casual Christian, as I said,
Yeah, I was too.
until the good Lord caught my attention.
Yeah.
And after my accident, I said to myself, "What are you doing? What? The good Lord saved you. Now it's time to give back."
Wow.
And that's
Amen.
where it started.
Mm.
As I said, I get pretty emotional when I talk about my Lord.
Yeah. Definitely amazing. So I saw you were born in Germany?
Yes.
Wow.
As my parents were Hungarian refugees, fleeing Hungary and Budapest at the end of World War II as the Russians came from the east. And they went across the border. They literally walked 700 miles across Austria to reach and they stepped into Bavaria and Vilshofen, and that's where I was born. My mother was
Wow.
pregnant with me.
Amazing.
Wow.
My little brother was 5 years older, walked. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So,
But you got a ride.
so you say you had you have a brother?
But it devastated our family.
Sure.
So you have a brother, did you say?
Older
Yes.
one.
You have, okay.
My older brother, 5 years older.
So you just have one sibling?
Yes.
Okay.
When we came to the United States, my mother passed away.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that in your
And
bio.
my guardian became a soldier, a lifer in the Army, and he had 2 children. They're really my cousins, but I call them my psychological brother and sister.
Yeah.
I noticed it says most timely political thriller. What makes it most timely?
Well, it's about a lawyer that's appointed special prosecutor in a massive border conspiracy corruption case as special prosecutor, and then finds out that there is a bullseye target on his back because there's a contract out on him by a group of terrorist assassins. The rest of it you have to read.
Okay, all right. You sold me.
So was Texas the first U.S. state you lived in?
No, it was New York City, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
New York City, and then, he was in the Army. And we went from New York. I was a teenager in the South Bronx. Of all
Yeah.
places for a
Oh,
teenager
yeah.
to be. And so he was in the Army, and he got a tour of duty to Japan. And so I went along there, and I went to a military high school, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. And then he got assigned to Fort Sill, Lawton, Oklahoma, where I graduated from high school.
I see.
no
So that's how you ended up in this part of the country. Okay.
Right on.
Oh, cool.
So how old were you, Louis, when you came to New York with your cousin?
I was 14.
Oh, wow.
I was
So
14 years old.
you had been in
Brazil,
Brazil,
yeah.
all that time?
Yeah, well, we went from Germany, immigrated to Brazil.
Oh,
And from Brazil, my mother, because my natural father died in Germany.
oh,
So my mother, brother, and I, who's 5 years older than me, immigrated to Brazil. And we were there until 1958, when, my aunt and uncle got us to come to New York. And tragically enough, on my birthday in 1958, my mother died of cancer. So,
wow.
It's been a life.
yeah, life does intervene.
May I ask what year you were born?
1945,
Okay.
August 18th,
All
1945.
right. It's about a year and less than 3 months older than my mother. She was born in November of 46.
My husband was born in 42.
So was my dad.
My husband was born in 41. I was born in 46.
46.
We're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about that.
Amazing, isn't it?
Well,
All right.
please go to my website,
Yes.
Will do.
louisbodnar.com, and you can order both of those books, and I'll sign it, even sign them to
I
you.
think I'll just buy them tonight. Because they're
Okay.
right over there. So, how much are they together?
25.
25? That's easy breezy.
Yeah.
All right.
And thank you for buying.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Mike
I
was my first buyer
Oh,
here.
Yeah.
good.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry for the low attendance, but
No, that's fine.
okay.
It is what
Uh,
it is. We're small,
But
we're
we're
mighty.
glad to have you. Glad you could be
Thank
here.
you for
Very
having me
glad.
again.
You're welcome.
I enjoyed it and appreciated it.
It took us a while. I remember meeting you at the last conference we had at Abiding Harvest. Didn't you come there?
That's right.
And then you and I were locked out of Kirk of the Hills one night. Couldn't get in, and it was freezing cold.
I know.
Freezing cold.
Aw.
So anyway, at long last.
Well, good.
I'm
Well-
wondering how Rosie and Phyllis could get a copy of your handout.
Well,
Well, we could copy it for
you
them.
can mail it. You mail it to them.
I can email it to him. Yes, I have copies.
Do you want a copy of the handout, Rosie and Phyllis?
Now, don't mail yours, because I edited it.
Okay.
Oh,
The one
okay.
that I sent you and Edie.
Oh,
I
okay.
edited it down a little further, because
Oh, okay.
bless her heart, my wife read it, and she said, still too much blah, blah, blah. So
Everybody needs somebody in their life that says too much
You
blah,
know,
blah, blah.
isn't it amazing how one marries, like